Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, results strategist, business coach, mentor, and consultant. Today, I have an awesome guest. He is an entrepreneur, investor, and business mentor who creates predictable income generating assets. He has bought and sold multiple businesses and is now bridging the gap between retail and institutional investing. He believes that every savvy investor deserves the ability to invest in the inner circle of protection and get defined returns, so he makes their products accessible, safe, transparent, innovative, and highly effective. Welcome, Chad Pope, and thank you for being on my show.
Athin, thank you very much. Very cool.
You're welcome, mate. It's awesome to have you here. I'm sure you're going to provide huge amounts of value for everyone watching and listening today. So you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, just please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Cool. So Athin, I actually think it's all Robert Kiyosaki's fault. About 25 odd years ago, I got stuck into all of his material, the reading, etc. And my wife and I then started a residential rental business, and that really got a lot of legs. And what we were doing is doing this as homework. So we had our daytime careers. My background's in mechanical engineering, my wife's auditor, and that started to build and gain a lot of momentum. Decided then to fast track that and get involved in equipment rental. The hours just went crazy. It was a 365-day a year job, and really loved it. We got involved in equipment rental for industrial and construction. That went really well. And again, what I was doing through the day is operating in the business, similar model, but a lot more accelerated, a lot more staff, branches, technically involved and pretty complicated. But what I was doing is I was taking time in the evenings and over weekends to start to invest in parallel. I've always been driven to try and create a passive income stream behind the businesses. And I think it's a big mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make, Athin. We often keep reinvesting back into our businesses, as we should, but maybe too much. So we're funding debtors, we're funding stock, we're funding all these expansion opportunities, but then living day to day for ourselves. But if anything happens to us as an entrepreneur, this is where the risk lies, right? Who's going to pick up the ball? Who's going to continue running? Essentially your passion, right? And there's a risk in that. So getting back to the mentorship a bit later, it's about chatting to people saying, hey, listen, don't neglect this part of your life. It's very important. It's like your health. If you're not exercising every day, if you're not eating properly, if you're not looking after yourself, again, you're actually putting your business at risk. And equally, financial freedom and financial well-being is something very similar, and it runs in parallel, right? So I spent a lot of time researching, understanding. We had the property portfolio busy growing. And then on the other side, I had a share portfolio that I'd started, and small debit orders to start, etc. Then on the sale of a business, and I finally had a lump sum to go and invest, I really took the time to understand and see the difference. And I was shocked, Athin, because what we'd done ourselves, and where we were in control of these investments ourselves, and we had no middlemen in between, the returns were really strong. We'd done well. Where we had gone into the retail space, and this is only when it dawned on me, we were investing in shares, retail, through institutions, and the returns were mocked. Big step difference, right? I said, no, that's not fair. And went out to go and find a mentor now in investing. And all we did, Athin, is we went and we said, where is the factory of products? Where are financial instruments created? And how do we bridge the gap? How do we jump over all these layers of cost? How do we go direct? And it took relationships, and it took an online investment platform. And once I figured that out, I said, hey, no, this is not fair. My children should never invest retail, nor should my family, nor should my friends. And that then became the birth of a business. because the third component is we had to be recognized as a financial institution in order to get into this level. And Athin, the rest is history. So now it's become a passion of mine, my own financial freedom and that of my children. But for every other entrepreneur, I'd love you to see this. I'd love you to understand it. It's not difficult and you can do it yourself. So Cashbox has been born out of a passion to go and deliver this education and this awareness and the access to these products. Not hard, and the returns have been stellar. We've just raised a product. It's closing, what's the 29th? Tomorrow, in fact, returning 16% in pound sterling and in USD, directly from a World Bank. Can you believe it? And a product that we're closing in the middle of October, and it looks to the big mining giants and also directly from large investment banks in Europe, 28% growth return. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? You're probably saying it's too good to be true, right? Well, it is if you're a retail investor. We've been taught that that's okay to get 5-6% or even zero in the bank in Europe. We've broken that mold, Athin.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing story there, points, and now the journey of where it's taken you to now, be able to get these amazing returns and then be able to share that, with other people, which is right. Amazing as well. And I love how you talked about financial freedom there as well, because I think that's a thing that everybody wants, right? And it's a space where, like you said, we don't necessarily have to work, or maybe there's consistent income coming in, right? In there, and that, I guess, gets me to passive income, right? Where, it's very important to build wealth, and just generally, just to start, for anyone that's sort of at the start of their journey, and we can build it up, right? What are some passive income streams that are available to investors? Yeah,
great. So again, maybe from an entrepreneurial spin, the first income obviously is your business, and there's so many places to go to learn to build this, and to invest where and you can back yourself is ideal, because there is nobody between you and that investment. It is you that's the investment, right? The risk, however, is if everything is in that bucket and something happens to you, heaven forbid, then there's a problem, right? So now to add the next layer of income, there are a lot of great people and material out there which chat perhaps around property rental. It's not as hard to get into as you might think. There are people that do this internationally and make it very, very easy. One of those is Wealth Migrate, if you are looking. We invest in medical buildings, properties in Australia, the States, England, for example, returning 8 to 10% per annum. And you can get in there for as little as $100 a month or whatever you want to put in, right? But that takes you right into the product. And again, this is an institutional return on a platform that you can see a whole bunch of items. So you could start small there. I'm not an advisor, but if my children came to ask me, I'd probably say, okay, look, this is a great place to start. Structured notes, the stuff that Cashbox does, jumps another level higher, and it's $10,000 per product to get into. But Athin, it takes us $1 million to create one product at this level. So why had nobody heard about structured notes is because the entry was just way too high, right? We brought that right down to $10,000 per investment, and we've got a fund of structured notes, a lovely vehicle that you can get into for £1,000 per investment at any stage. So there are steps to get there, right? Some people might want to grow pets or breed pets, rather, parrots. You could make money in all sorts of ways. And there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube if you're looking for ways to start, generating a passive income. And the intention with the passive income is you got to feed it a little bit, whatever that is. And the intention being that it would grow and it would work for you even while you were sleeping, or grow for you even while you were sleeping. Don't be fooled. It still takes work. And it's such a lovely journey to start, because if you've got one asset that produces a return and you can keep compounding that and use that again and again and again, suddenly you're away. And I believe, Athin, anybody can compound their way to financial freedom. Watch your expenses, and you want to start to build a flow or a stream of these different investments, right? Don't just rely on one. That's your business as well. It might be a portfolio of structured notes. It might be a portfolio of rental assets. It could be that you wanting to get involved in crypto trading, for example. All of these are skills that there's so many different avenues to go and find these. It's really, really exciting. But at this level, in the structured note space, I was blown away and knew we had to get this to as many people as possible.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for going deeper on that and explaining some different areas there for those people. And do you want to maybe go a little bit deeper and just share a little bit more about like banking structure, right? And the levels of how it works, and then like what a structured note is, so that people are aware of things that they don't really understand as much. Yeah.
Good man. Would you mind if I shared the screen? Is that cool? Or shall I just give you an overview?
Just give an overview, I think, if you can. It's probably easier to just give it. No, yeah, I'm sure people can visually do it in their minds, because obviously some people will be listening to this auditory, some people will listen to the video. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So Athin, thanks for that opportunity. So if we were to picture a pyramid, and at the base of the pyramid lives our normal retail banking. This could be your local branch around the corner. Sorry, the coffee machine's going. So your local branch, and that takes care of your needs, my needs every day. We'd get credit cards, fuel cards, etc., daily banking. You're going to get just about zero for cash in the bank there, but these guys live to sort us out. The challenge I do see for banking at that level is I think COVID has shown us, and I certainly don't like ever going into a branch. I'll avoid it if I can, right? What are they going to do with all these buildings, Athin? And they have the nicest properties, right? That's going to be a real challenge. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I think these guys are under pressure. Above the retail banking would then live our business banks. And business banks for all of us is where we go and do asset-based finance. It gets a bit more complicated. You'd probably have a relationship manager trying to understand your business a bit more. So the relationship level starts to rise. Fees are still heavy, but there's a lot more options sitting in business banking, right? Now, a lot of people don't get invited to business banking because we're all in the retail space. But now let's jump one level higher. And this is where investment banks live. This is the top end of banks. The only banks above them would be central banks running the banking structure, let's say in Australia or any other country. So an investment bank has the role of creating products. And what's great, Athin, these guys create products here. They'll even sell them down to the banks below them. And you may then go and buy a retail product. But do you see what's happened? Everybody below has taken a cut. The retail guy thinking he's doing really well, maybe doing 6-7%, perhaps in Aussie dollars, say, no. Let's take you straight into investment banking. So Andrew, who founded Cashbox with me, has spent 20 years in investment banking, working around the world, Zurich, London, Johannesburg, and Cape Town. And at that level was actually structuring these products. So he knows these things backwards. He built up relationships internationally. And that's why, Athin, we produce these structured notes at that level with only European banks, the strongest banks. So we're talking HSBC, Credit Suisse, Natixis, the big guns, right? And at this level, they create products that would define how much protection's built in, capital and return. They will give us a contract that our investment community go into. So all we do is we create a product, we let our community know it's available, people can jump in. Now, at that level, we are able to produce 14, 15, 16% returns per annum, paying you on a quarterly basis. So now I can create a cash flow. And from the cash flow, I can then look at my portfolio and decide how I'm going to either use it and or rebalance or reinvest. So we create about 18 products a year, just over one a month. And this allows people then to come out of one product into the next product. Now, that's been available to high net worth individuals. Andrew's been in the space for 20 years. Athin, I don't think you knew a structured note before we chatted, right?
Yeah,
It
not
was
that
just
deeply.
not,
Yeah.
no, it was not accessible. Nobody knew it. I didn't know it. I'd been investing for 20 years in parallel, thinking I was doing the right thing. So we've simply expanded this community, and we'd love to be part of yours and say, you're welcome. Come and have a look. And if this speaks to you, we'd love to take you through deeper training. So we've created nothing new, Athin, other than awareness and access.
I love that. Really awesome and amazing returns, right? Like you're getting, like you said, 12, 14, 16%, returns on that, which is much more than you would get, in a lot of other investments, right? That's, over 1% a month, so to speak, in there, which is,
And Athin, what blows people away, this is directly from a bank, right? And with all this protection built in. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy. And like I think, depending where you are, obviously COVID and things like that has changed the way it is. And I know in Australia, for example, that we're getting like less than 1% or something now like that per year, right? In the retail space, from a bank, 1 or 2%, whereas, you'd be getting that a month basically, right? In these types of investments. So you can see the big difference of what this is about, where you're putting your money and how you can help that the compound. So that's really awesome. I think a big thing for investors as well, right? And, is risk management, right? Because we always want to know is, okay, when we're putting our money in, what's the risk profile? Because every investment, obviously businesses can have more risk, if you invest in a business, but when you invest in property or, structured notes or other things like that, if we go into the structured note specific thing, like what you're talking about, we need to understand risk and what it is. So can you maybe share a little bit about the risk profile on these investments as well?
Fantastic. So Athin, structured notes forms one asset base in a diversified portfolio, right? And perhaps if we take Andrew, our product developer's analogy of a castle with a moat around it, and Andrew's role right now, he runs a family office out of Cape Town, looking after about 20, 30 large international families. And where structured notes fit so nicely in a portfolio is we create this deep level of protection around that castle, right? So picture the moat and the castle. Now, the reason for these products is it takes a very conservative approach, yet produces a really strong return. Why? Because the way the product works, just to let you a little bit under the bonnet and have a look at this engine of this car now, right? A bank would look at typically 3 to 4 options that would take our money. So they're actually using our money. We're loaning them the money, and the contract they're giving us is what they're going to do with the money, right? They'll go and they'll select 3 or 4 stocks. So in the October one that's closing mid-October, there's 4 mining giants. And what they're doing is they're using the funds to buy options against these stocks. They've done a lot of research. They believe that these stocks are either going to stay steady or climb, and they don't have to climb a lot, just slightly. And what they do then is they go, okay, we will take the money, buy the options. When these stocks reach a certain level and they've risen in value and they've reached a trigger point, we're going to sell those for their new value. And this is where the bank's going to make their return. What they're doing is they're paying us for utilizing the cash flow. So very simply, it's their cost of capital to go and create their wealth. Now, remember, a bank's not a charity, right? They're in this for themselves too. They need to make a strong return. So their return has to be stronger than the cost of capital from borrowing from us. And then they're going to make the upside profitability on the other side. So when they look at this and they structure in the contract, they say they're going to pay us the quarterly coupons, this quarterly flow, even if those 4 options have halved in value. So where in the world do you go invest in shares with a 50% protection? And this is what a structured note gives. It's phenomenal. And then what it'll do is when these stocks have risen and the bank's trading desk, the propeller heads, as Andrew calls them, has had a look and said, we believe that this is going to grow within, let's say, a year or 2. This is where the product's going to close out. So now what happens, Athin, is these products close. It's called an early maturity. once the shares have reached a certain value. Every single one of the structured notes that we've been involved with our structure for the last 5 years, every single one has done exactly as protected. All 8 products we had running through the 2020 market crash were unaffected. While they did drop, they never went to 50%. They just keep going like this, and then they close out. So even through 2020, our average return was 14.5%. Now, this is where high net worths and institutions want to invest. This is where pension funds want to be. They need this protection. So, it's mind-boggling. Lower your risk, increase your returns, and now you've got the most amazing product. And that's why we had to get this known and share.
Yeah, I love that. So many awesome points there. And it just shows that, it's almost, risk-free to an extent, right? Because of the safeguards of up to 50% drop and having big banks, doing this. So, there's a lot of other investments have a lot more risk, involved in them, which is amazing. So I can tell why the high net worth people would obviously love these. And now to give this opportunity to other people is really powerful too.
And Athin, if you don't mind, I'll take that analogy of the moat, right? So this is our castle. This is all protected. But can you see what we've done is we've capped the upside. So we, in this growth product, are looking at 28%. So now that's capped. We can't go higher. The bank's going to get the upside. We want them to make profit, right? But on the outside of my moat and in my portfolio, I might want to put my individual shareholding because there could be stocks. Tesla could do 40, 50%, right? Do I want a little bit of that? Well, that's between you and your fund manager or your advisor, right? But yes, I do probably want some spicy stuff, but I don't want to bet the whole castle, right?
Yeah, I love that. And I guess, a big thing as well that people need to think about, and as an investor, is like liquidity and cash flow, right? Because, it's important that obviously we have the money to invest. We don't want to invest everything and have no money left and not being able to do anything at the same time, because that can be an issue too. So I guess just as an average, or if you can share us with these structured notes, what's the liquidity like in terms of getting it back? Because I think you mentioned quarterly before. Is there sort of minimum, maximum times and things like that? If you want to share a little bit more about that too.
Excellent. Thanks, Athin. So the bank generate a contract and they'll tell us the maximum duration of that contract. So let's say they say it's a 5-year product. We're going to measure the stocks every quarter. And as long as they're above 50%, I'm going to pay you your quarterly flow. That's an income-based product. And then when those stocks reach the level that the bank can go and on-sell and make further profit, they're going to close the product early. So our average duration of product has been 1.5 years. So what we do is we show our community how to start an online trading platform. So you'll use an international broker and 24/7, all available, all online, very, very fee light. High net worths don't want to pay fees, right? Fee light, highly transparent in a very, very regulated environment, tax efficient. So maybe like the Isle of Man, for example, to keep everything protected. Now, what happens is the bank only receive money from your trading platform and they'll only pay back to your platform. So every quarter I've got funds flowing as my coupons. They don't call it interest, they call it coupons because there's bonds involved. This coupon flows back to my platform. And then on my platform, Athin, I can buy any share I like. And all we need is an ISIN, which is the International Securities Index number. And what that does is that allows us then to pick any share in the world. So maybe you wanted to own Coca-Cola directly or Barrick Gold. That's fine. They'll have a code and off you go. So do you see, I can create my entire portfolio in one place. And for perhaps your Australian clients, you could put this in your superannuation as well. There's some really clever stuff that could happen. So the liquidity events could be the quarterly flow. The liquidity event could be all my capital coming back at the maturity of the product. We keep communicating with our community saying, great guys, there's an observation now, payment will happen. And there's defined dates in our contract, tells you exactly what day the bank's paying your platform. Your funds will appear a day or two later once it's cleared. There you go. And then at that point, Athin, we can then rebalance our portfolio and decide, what's in the castle, what's on the outside of the moat. You can do your work. The second component that we also build are what's called growth-based structured notes. Now, what happens is, same process, but the bank doesn't pay you every quarter. What they're doing is they're adding up at the background or in the background, pardon me, 7% each quarter, say, pardon me.
It's all right, mate. Take a nice little drink there. Awesome stuff. So talk about these growth notes, yeah?
In the growth space, the growth note, instead of paying you every quarter, compounds and builds up a flow. So we call it a snowball. So the snowball gets bigger and bigger until the stocks reach that level where the bank can go make further profit. The bank pay us our capital and that growth sum out all in one. So those particular products would run a little bit longer, and the returns may be a lot higher because the bank actually doesn't have to produce cash flow every quarter. They're just compounding it. That's why the large mining stock is going to be doing potentially 28% per annum. And as I've said, it would run for a period of time, then close out, once the shares are at that level. So while the product says it's a 5-year product, we firmly believe that product will close out in a year and a half. So Athin, we don't put money into this that we need to go and spend on school fees, right? If it says it's a 5-year product, committed for 5 years. If it comes back earlier, bonus.
Yeah, awesome. No, I love that. So that's really important for everyone to know, right? Liquidity, but yeah, these long-term investments or semi-long-term, let's call it, can be long-term for 5 years, but based on experience, can be 1.5, which is sort of, I guess, midterm with that, and get great returns, which is awesome as well. So then on the platform, basically, let's say at that 1.5 year mark, depending on which note, whether you're getting the quarterly returns or you're just getting it all in the lump sum with the growth note at that, let's just say example, 1.5 year mark, then you get to choose. Do I do normal share investing, or then I can go basically into another note of some kind to then do another round basically from there?
And what's so cool, Athin, if we could keep these windows short, when we look at the structured note and we look at the underlying options that the bank are interested in, we look at what's appropriate at that point in time. And as you know, the markets are changing so fast. It's nice to keep a shorter window because I can invest in what's appropriate at that point in time. You may also have an event in your life, right, which changes stuff, and maybe your planning needs to change. That's cool. So as you said, while it says 5 years, it's probable it's not going to be that long, and that's really helpful for any investing portfolio. So yeah, all in all, an amazing asset.
Yeah, definitely love that. Really, really cool. Now let's talk a little bit about some other stuff you got going on, because I know you got some other cool things happening. And one of them is some amazing experiences that you do in South Africa called through the Safari Guys. So do you want to maybe share more about what you offer, including, I guess, the types of experiences, the things that, we can enjoy once we want to get out and travel? I'm sure everyone's just digging for it in 2022 and beyond. So let us know more about that too.
All right, great. So Athin, when I got out of my previous business, and I was starting to feel a little bit lonely, my previous business, we had 700 staff. It was just crazy. And now all of a sudden you're on your own. I joined a group called Entrepreneurial Institute. Roger Hamilton heads that up, and took a lot of time to really understand my passions and my purpose. And being a good South African, I'm just crazy about the bush, nature and the environment. And the best way to learn for me, I love business. So if you were to jot down what you really love to do, right, this is my list. I really love doing business. I love communicating. I love chatting to people. I really want to help. I think if I had my life again, I might be a teacher, may have been a teacher. And it's certainly around the environment, right? And giving back. And the one that really drives me, and I think it's the whole combination, and that's really helping entrepreneurs. I'm dying to help my kids. My son's 3rd year mechanical engineering. My daughter's doing her 2nd year. She's in what's called field guiding. So, when you see a safari vehicle driving and there's this person driving, chatting, telling you about everything. She's actually out near the Kruger Park right now doing that. So what we decided to do is start investing in businesses that were just in our passions. And that's just taken me to a whole new level, because you get to understand the industry, you get invited into different places, and I'm really loving that. So Safari Guys sets up tours through Southern Africa and East Africa, and you can come and experience the most amazing opportunities in all sorts and fashion. So much like Australia, we've got so many different climates. We can go from desert in Namibia to just about jungle on the Indian Ocean side, mountains, snow, it's everything in between. And the safari experience is just mind-boggling. Tourism in Southern Africa is a massive employer. COVID has smashed it. So now, instead of Southern Africans traveling overseas, they're all internal now. So our market has changed and our approach has changed. You have to go fast. So in helping this particular industry, I know I get to spend weekends, long weekends, just where I want to be. I really love that. So in the week, it's Cashbox, it's investing. And then you alluded to it in terms of the mentorship. I really get a kick out of that. Maybe that's the learning side, the teaching side, on the bits that I might understand. And we got involved with CoSpace, and that's that entrepreneurial hub where entrepreneurs can go and exercise, get off the kitchen table, take your business out of your house and start. So picture a garage, this 3 by 6 meter opportunity, and anything can happen in it. You can create all sorts. So in this entrepreneur hub, there are 300 entrepreneurs living in the same place. So yes, I think we're blessed, Athin. And that investment now, it's not just financial investment, right? It's investment back in myself, my family, and we're giving back now. We're giving back to environment. So Cashbox supports 2 initiatives. One is for Rhino, and we look after an organization called Rhino Connect. They're doing the most amazing work. And then the other one is for entrepreneurs and financial fitness. And that's financial fitness on how to run a business. Watch your cash flow. Cash flow is like lifeblood, man. You run out of cash flow, it's done. How do we protect this? Because you could have somebody that's an experienced plumber. We're chatting to a person who services and fixes musical instruments. That's their passion. Finance, oh gosh, I'm scared of that stuff. Like, how does that work? And how do you build them? And then from there, it then goes into investing. So what's really nice, we've got this beautiful mesh that's started to form. So yeah, truly blessed. And for all the entrepreneurs that may be listening, just work in your passion. Then it never feels like work, right?
Yeah, definitely love that. Amazing. And I think, the key thing that I took from that is that when you're investing in things, whether they're structured notes like he's talking about, or what Chad's talking about, businesses here, right, is that invest in something that you understand, number one, right? And Chad's done an amazing part of, explaining about, Cashbox Global with, the structured notes and things like that. And also, or invest in something that you're passionate about, which is really important, right? So don't just invest in 100 different types of businesses that you don't really care about. Invest in businesses that you're passionate about, that you understand, things like that, like, Chad has done and what you do, because that curiosity, that thing will allow you to, really look at it properly in that way. And that's really powerful. And I love the CoSpace thing that you're talking about as well, because I know with me and with a lot of people working from home these days, it's more challenging, right? Because of COVID. And, like you said, a lot of us entrepreneurs, we don't have a lot of friends technically a lot of the time, because probably a lot of the people we grew up with may not have businesses. We're working from home anyway. So we don't get to go out as much these days. Can we go somewhere that, is an environment where everyone wants to grow and things like that? So that's really powerful, that you're creating that environment as well. And I'm sure, there's, maybe talk about, with this environment, what are some of the things that are transpiring, with the people that they're, from that?
Yeah. So the way CoSpace is structured, physically, there's a band of offices that are all quiet, clean. In there would live the accountants, perhaps the graphic designers, website developers, etc., etc. the row behind them gets a little bit noisier, a little bit more active, perhaps a bit of warehousing, etc. So now we've often got an entrepreneur sitting in the same place that his stuff is stored. A little bit further back could be kitchens and cleaner, but maybe a little bigger. There's extractor fans, all that good stuff. And then a bit further behind, maybe the carpenters and the mechanics and the whatever. But now what's happened, Athin, is we've got one community, 300 odd entrepreneurs. Suddenly the accountant is doing the books for all these companies. Suddenly the mechanic has got everybody's cars. Suddenly, and it just, the thrive, it's just grown. It's incredible. But what happens every Thursday, there's a chat, and you have the opportunity to present your business to everybody else. And you also have the opportunity to share learnings. And this becomes the most amazing event because people come in to share and learn. They'll pick subjects. So there could be, hey, listen, I really like to understand a bit more about digital marketing. How do I get my exposure up? Blah, blah, blah. That could be Thursday's event. Often sponsored and run by the graphic designer or the marketer that's in that community. And these communities are now expanded. So Athin, I firmly believe it's only entrepreneurs that are going to expand the economy, particularly in Southern Africa. Our governments are a bit embarrassing. It's up to the entrepreneurs to get themselves to this place, right? And I think in this environment, and particularly again, if you're in your passion, it's just going to keep thriving and growing. So we've now, we built one of these communities. We've finished the second one. The third one's on its way. Love to have one in each city in Southern Africa.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, mate. And, you know, they don't have anything like that in Australia. So hopefully at some point they'll do it, or maybe you come down here. Who knows, right? Time is there, but awesome that you're doing.
I'll see you next week.
That's it. Hopefully, you know, it's amazing that you're doing it in your local area anyway in Southern Africa, which is amazing. So that, you know, people get this benefit, right? And anyone that's around that area, you know, definitely go check it out, right? There's amazing benefits when you're around like-minded people and you can help each other in their businesses and things like that. And I think, you know, you touched on it earlier, but I'd like to maybe just ask from you from a perspective of coaching and mentoring, right? You mentioned a mentor earlier. Like how important, should I say, has coaching and mentoring been for you in your life and business and investing and you know, how it's got you to where you are today?
Yeah. So Athin, in starting all my own stuff, I wish I had a mentor earlier because I know how hard it is, you know, just to bounce an idea off. So, you know, somebody comes to me now and you just see the energy and the excitement and whatever, and you start chatting about the rollout. Where are you? You know, what are your top 3 questions? And it's such a lovely question to ask of somebody, because the quality of the question will determine the quality of the answer. And it also then frames where that person is. And often, you know, I have an idea, I'd like to do this. What do you think? Like, who do you ask? You said earlier, a lot of your mates are working in a big corporate and they specialize, they're very good at what they do. But you're looking at like a crisis every other week, right? In your own business, like, flip, what happens here? How do I manage this? Where do I go? And just to be able to be a sounding board is really helpful. And what's been cool, Athin, is as I've grown in this, and I've still got a long way to go, absolutely. But I've created a network, right? So if somebody asks a question, who's the right guy to chat to, or who's the right lady? This network of, I think you should go and speak to so-and-so. And they come back and they go, oh, wow, that was so cool. And it's about just connecting. And for me, it's hugely rewarding to see somebody else grow. There's just a big kick that comes out of that. And imagine if, and certainly this is important in Southern Africa, if everybody could be the best person they could be, and if everybody could be contributing to their passion, can you imagine what an amazing world that would be? So if I can help 2 or 5 or 10, it's my obligation, really. Eh?
Yeah, I love that. And I completely agree. Like coaching, mentoring has been massive for me. And helped me at the start of my businesses. It continues to help me today with my multiple, coaches and mentors, because, a lot of people think, we might be able to do it ourselves, and potentially you might get there, but it's probably going to take you 5-10 times as long. And then you have a lower chance of it actually happening. Right. Whereas, like you said, someone that's, further down the line from you or has different knowledge than you, depending on which way you want that advice or those questions or assistance, then that is invaluable, right? To compress time, to have less mistakes, all of these things, because, to get us, like, if we're going round clock to financial freedom, right? We want to get to the point where we don't have to work 80 hours a week, and, we can enjoy our life in the way that we want to enjoy it. And, coaching, mentoring is really the vehicle, I think, from a business perspective to get there as well.
And Athin, I think very, very important for everybody. And this was our learning with starting Cashbox. If you can go up the mountain to the start of the stream, where it's narrow, the water's narrow, it's clean, it's not muddied, it's whatever. Keep going that way. Keep remembering that, because if I can parachute in as an entrepreneur, I can't do everything myself. But if I can parachute on top of the mountain and find the best marketer to help me, or I can find the best accountant, or I find the best, whatever it is that you may need in your business, partner, you don't have to have those skills, right? You could learn those skills from that person as they help you. So JVs, partnerships, etc., can certainly accelerate what you do, because there's people that are passionate about that. It's not necessarily your passion. You don't have to. I'd make an awful ballerina, right? And if there was a concert to be done, let me go and find a ballerina, please, because I scare the crowd. So like that coast-based place, there's talent and experience sitting in all different areas. Use them. You don't have to build it yourself, but while they're doing it for you, learn from them. It's exciting. Probably a piece of advice. And again, much like Cashbox, going up the stream, go to where the source is, because that's cheap, it's probably clean, it's effective, and it's probably fast.
Yeah, I love that. So many amazing points there. And I guess as we're getting towards the end of this now and wrapping this up, you've given so much awesome value here today, Chad. I guess what one key piece of advice, I guess, would you give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
Yes, there's so much. I think find a community that you resonate with, that you can grow from, that would help you, because there's tough days, and there's days that you need to chat. There's tough days when you need to solve something, and it's easier done in a community. Probably the best place to start, and hang out with those that want to make stuff happen. I love entrepreneurs. They're so exciting. They're optimistic, right? Stay away from the negative naysayers. Not good for you. Maybe that's 2 or 3 pieces. Sorry.
That's all good, mate. I'm sure everybody's lapping everything up today with all the amazing stuff that you've said to us. So it has been awesome. And yeah, we connected through our networks. So I learned about your awesome journey from, buying and selling multiple businesses to now, bridging the gap between retail and institutional investing, which is amazing. You're providing awesome opportunities for every, savvy investor to invest in the inner circle of protection, with defined returns that are higher above average. You're an awesome guy, and I'm sure you continue to help entrepreneurs and investors to grow globally. So I'm very grateful that we connected, and I look forward to working with you in the future. So Chad, how can people find you and get in contact with you?
Great. So Athin, in the spirit of giving and helping, I'd really love everybody to have a look at cashbox.global. Please use .global, otherwise you'll go somewhere else. And in that, there's a whole lot of information on the website. In the information section, there's videos you could follow. But what I'd really love to do is connect directly with you, Athin, and your viewership. If you want to reach out, there's support at cashbox.global. We do training sessions all the time. I'd love to take you through this. See if it's for you. If it's not for you, that's cool. If it's for you, we'd love to journey with you. So support at cashbox.global, and you can contact me through that quite easily. Look forward to connecting.
Yeah, awesome, mate. So yeah, everyone, if you're definitely want to go down that investment path and learn more about it, definitely check out Chad with cashbox.global and the email there and everything like that. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. Please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis. I visit my website, athincassiotis.com. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you will know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results. Have a great day.